morning. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host Owen James, channel that brings you your team every single day, guys. Look, we are heading towards the end of the season. I mean, let's just forget the season for the moment. Let's just forget how bad it actually is at the moment. Let's forget they won the title and they're going to remind us of it for a long, long time to come. But let's talk a little bit about the future, because that's what it has to be about now for Rangers, is what does the future hold for this club, this great club, one of the biggest clubs in world football. You know, what do we do going forward? How do we establish ourselves back at the top of the Scottish game? How do we become the dominant force in Scottish football yet again, which, is where we should be? The club has, since 2012, won only 3 trophies, which for a club like Rangers is absolutely unacceptable. There is a saying in American sports, the standard is the standard, and certainly our standard has not been anywhere near where it should have been over the last few seasons. We badly slipped after 55. That should have been the key turning point to move on and to kick on and to get back to a position of dominance within the game. We are moving again into another situation where the appointment of the next manager will be absolutely key, where we need to get this right, where the club need to make the right decisions going forward as to who will be the new head coach of Rangers Football Club. That is key. There is a new favourite emerging, and a lot of rumours obviously surrounding this new favouritism from this individual. Now, I know this is a person who will cause anger amongst some of the fan base, who some of the fan base will not get behind, who some of the fan base will talk down straight away on the grounds that he's not Scottish, or on the grounds that he's not a Rangers man, which I do get a bit sick and tired of hearing. Will of course annoy those of you who still support Barry Ferguson to be the next Rangers manager on a permanent basis, which I think would be an absolutely huge mistake, because as I explained on the video yesterday, the only qualifications Ferguson seems to have to be manager of Rangers is that he is one of the staunch Avengers and he used to play for the club. That seems to be it. But as I pointed out on yesterday's video, if I'd suggested to you that we take a manager like Barry Ferguson, with his stats in terms of his win percentages, in terms of his success rate in football, I think you all would have gone, you are absolutely bonkers, Owen. You are absolutely crazy. There is no way we would have that sort of person as our manager. Yet there are still a significant number within the fan base advocating for that as their new manager, which I think would be utterly ludicrous. Well, the favourite to get the job, and the strong rumours obviously putting this man forward, is a guy who's currently out of work. He left his job as head coach of RB Leipzig. Like I said, I think there was a lot of context around that, given the fact that obviously they'd already announced he'd be leaving at the end of the season, which obviously is never a good position to have. If you kind of say that you are a dead man walking in effect because you're going, that's what the players do turn off. It's just the way things happen. Marco Rosa is his name. He is a German manager. He has a very good past record. He has a very good managerial CV. He's certainly someone who I think would bring an exciting, attacking, physical, in-your-face brand of football to Rangers. His managerial CV includes clubs like Lokomotiv Leipzig, Red Bull Salzburg. Yes, he has been involved with the Red Bull sports organisations, as has new sporting director Kevin Thelwell, as have the 49ers at Leeds. Are we putting 2 + 2 + 2 together and getting anywhere near 6, ladies and gentlemen? Also was with Borussia Mönchengladbach and Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig. So yes, all his managerial experience has come in the Bundesliga, which is one of Europe's top 5 leagues, and it has come with 3 top German clubs. Certainly, obviously not the biggest club in German football, which obviously is Bayern Munich, or obviously Bayer Leverkusen, which is another big club, but Dortmund are certainly bigger than Leverkusen. But he has been involved with the Red Bull Sports Group twice, like I said, and there has been at every level of Rangers seemingly now involvement with the Red Bull Sports Group, with the ownership group obviously involved with the Red Bull Sports Group at Leeds United, and of course the Red Bull Sports Group being part of the CV of sporting director Kevin Thelwell. Let's have a little talk over Marco Rosa, shall we? Here is Marco Rosa. Looks like a Bond villain, I think, in this photograph. It's a nice photograph. It's high polo, almost Klopp-esque, I believe, in this photograph. And I mean, what sort of football does Marco Rosa play? I mean, that's the obvious question that a lot of Rangers fans want to know, want to answer. He is an advocate of the Gegenpress. He is an advertisement for that German style of play, which has been very successful in England. In a league that is stronger than ours, in a league where physicality and speed and in-your-face football is definitely there, and in a game where you do face that physicality that you'll face in Scottish football, obviously not to the same degree. I don't think there's certainly any hoofball merchants in the Premier League, and I certainly don't think there's any hammer throwers in the Premier League. But I think the style could still be successful. Now, what has Rosa said about his playing style? He said, well, apparently he described his basic ideas of his playing style as emotionality, hunger, and being active. He said, we want to be very active against the ball, sprint a lot. We want to win high balls and have short ways to the goal. We don't want to play high and wide, but we want to play fast, dynamic, and actively forward. Now, this to me reminds me a lot of the Gegenpress. It reminds me a lot of the Jurgen Klopp way of playing football. Now, if this man can come to Rangers and introduce half of what Jurgen Klopp brought to Liverpool, I'd be very, very excited. Rosa, like I said, he is a guy who believes in that high press, in winning the ball high, having less of a distance to go to goal, sprinting hard, attacking hard, playing actively forward, not backwards, not sideways, which obviously is what Rangers do a lot under Philippe Clement and do a lot under Barry Ferguson. Certainly not something that we want and we would see under Marco Rosa. It would be a forward-thinking, attacking style. He plays fast football, dynamic football. Again, something we have not seen from Rangers at all over the last couple of seasons, and something I think the fans have been crying out for. I don't know how many live watch-alongs I have done or how many games I have watched where we've been crying out for just, get the ball forward, attack, go forward, move the ball quickly, don't slow it down in midfield or in the defence, which is something we do on a chronic basis as a team currently. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. He hasn't got the players to do that. Well, yes, I know that. He hasn't got the players to do that. And I think he is aware of that. The new owners are aware of that. Kevin Thelwell will be aware of that. And I'm sure that is something that they will be looking to address in the next few months once the takeover has been confirmed. Now, what sort of style and formation does Marco Rosa play? I'm sure that is something you all would like to know. Well, he plays the 4-4-2 diamond, not a Mike Bassett 4-4-2, a flat 4, flat 4, flat 2. Yes, it's not going to be Glasgow Rangers will be playing 4-4-2 and then walk out as a la Mike Bassett. It's that diamond shape in midfield with the sitting midfielder at the back, the metronome, the guy who kind of directs the operations, the attacking midfielder in the 10 role behind the two strikers. Yes, two strikers. I know that's something that Rangers fans have called for, but that is something obviously we would need to address, having the fact that we've got Danilo, who is not exactly reliable, Cyril Dessers, who is shite, and Hamza Rigaman, who is, I think, a centre forward, but Barry Ferguson seems to think he's a left winger. And we've also got the two players who can tuck in, go out wide, do whatever you need them to do, have a flexibility to the way they play in that diamond. I've always played a diamond when I've had the opportunity to do it, bringing in two strikers. Our system, even when we play with three up front, is something like a diamond. He has as well used the 4-3-3 formation, but favours the 4-4-2 formation when playing. That is who Marco Rosa is in terms of his playing style and how he likes to play the game. So it's fast, it's hard, it's aggressive, it's attacking, it's the Gegenpress. Like I said, I would love to see the Gegenpress, the Klopp-esque football at Rangers. That is positive. That is the way we want to be playing. Now let's have a little look at Rosa's stats. Now look, before anyone slags off the stats of percentages of 50 and 60%, please remember this is the Bundesliga. This is not the SPL. This is not, a weak league. The Bundesliga, yes, I know they have Bayern Munich who dominate, but at the end of the day, this is a situation where in German football they come up against tough levels of competition. They come up against good teams. They have, for example, Dortmund, Leipzig, Eintracht Frankfurt, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich. I've named at least 6 very good teams there. How many good teams can we name in Scotland? Realistically, it's us and Celtic. That is it. That is it. And another little stat for you. Walter Smith's win percentage. Walter Smith, greatest manager we have ever had. Greatest manager. One of the greatest managers of all time. Do not get me wrong. Win percentage as Everton manager was 31.5%. So if you're going to slag off Marco Rosa for 65% and 56% or whatever it is, we'll look in a minute. Just bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. Right, let's have a little look at his stats. These are his stats. So he started off at Leipzig, where he was for a year. Obviously, I don't know the context behind that Leipzig. It is 30%. It's not great, but I don't know, the context behind that. I really don't. He was then obviously at RB Salzburg, where he managed them for 114 games. He won 81 of them, drew 23, lost 10 of them, scored 269 goals, conceded only 88 goals. I mean, looking at that, that's pretty decent. That's at least a couple of goals a game. Goal difference of plus 181, so a very attacking team. Had a win percentage of 71%. Now, if you kind of look at that in terms of the type of football there, the Austrian league is I think a bit more similar to Scotland in terms of its. The competitive level is a little bit higher with the likes of Sturm Graz and Rapid Vienna and so on and so forth. But RB do dominate in the same way the Rangers and Celtic dominate. So 71% is pretty decent. He then went to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Wasn't particularly successful there, 46.5%. A time when Borussia were going through a bit of a transition. He then went to Dortmund as manager. One of the biggest clubs in Germany. I mean, that's one of the biggest clubs in Germany. Yes, he was the manager when we knocked them out of the Europa League. 55 games, 36 victories, 4 draws, 15 losses, 106 goals for, 74 goals against, plus 32 goal difference, 65.45% win percentage. He then went to RB Leipzig, where he was for nigh on 3 years. 128 games, 72 victories, 23 draws, 33 defeats, 260 goals, 153 goals against, plus 107 goal difference, 56.25% win percentage, including managing in the Champions League and the Europa League. In terms of his trophies, what he's done, where's his successes, you may say. As a manager, he won the Austrian Bundesliga in 2017-2018 and 2018-2019, so back-to-back Austrian Bundesliga titles. He also won the Austrian Cup in 2018-2019, meaning it was a double that year. With RB Leipzig, he won the German Cup in 22-23 and the German Super Cup in 2023. In that German Super Cup final, he hammered Bayern Munich 3-0 at the Allianz Arena. So, he has got a pretty good track record in terms of win percentages and his results. He has won trophies. He has been successful. He does play a good attacking brand of football. So it seems that, that at this moment in time, that Marco Rosa is being kind of talked up as the next Rangers manager. I understand the concerns because obviously, you go back to Clement, you go back to Philippe, Paul Le Guen, Pedro, etc., etc. But then I would give you Dick Advocaat. I'd give you, technically Stephen Gerrard wasn't Scottish, he's English. So, at the end of the day, I do think that, we need to get over this hang up about foreign managers. Rosa is a good manager. He's a attack-minded manager, and I think he would be an excellent candidate for this job. I think there's obviously been attempts to discredit him, attempts to, sort of talk him down. There was that picture of him with a Celtic scarf and Celtic hat at Celtic Park. Again, no context given to that picture. The picture just put out there and then used to slag him off because, again, it doesn't follow the agenda of those people posting those pictures. It's just a pure slagging off destruction mission. It was because he was thrown at those scarves and flags. He was being praised by the Celtic fans at that point for his performance, for the performance of his team, and he merely picked them up and put them on as a gesture of goodwill. I genuinely couldn't give a monkey's what he did with them. At the end of the day, if he comes to Rangers and he is successful, he plays an attacking brand of football, I genuinely couldn't care less who he supports. He could wear a dress and call himself Margot on a Friday night as all I care, as long as he wins games for Rangers on a Tuesday, Wednesday night in the Champions League, hopefully, and on a Saturday or Sunday in the Premier League for Rangers. Like I said, don't care what scarf he's worn, what hat he's worn, etc., etc. And like I said, that picture, take it with a pinch of salt. It's put out there by mischievous people trying to cause trouble. It's ridiculous. It's pathetic. Those people need to grow the fuck up. They really genuinely do. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on Marco Rosa. Could he be the candidate? Could he be the man to turn round Rangers' fortunes? Could he be the man to bring the Gegenpress to Scotland? Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, on the way out, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And please always remember, we are the people.